Well, hello indie people, and in today's video we're going to be looking at autism meltdown triggers, but more specifically my autism meltdown triggers. I'm just thinking if I talk about some of the things that trigger me into a meltdown, it may help you understand what triggers you. But if you're brand new to the channel, I do make content like this on a weekly basis, so if that sounds like a cup of tea, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. But the first autism meltdown trigger that I have is when my basic needs are not being met. Now, as human beings, as people, we have basic needs. We all need water, we all need food, and we all need sleep. Now, these are simple things that we should all be able to do, but sometimes for me personally, and a lot of this is from my own personal experience, I forget to drink water. Like, it does happen, especially when I'm hyper-focused in on a task, or, you know, something at work, I'm just doing that thing. I forget that everything else in the world exists and I'm just doing that one thing, which can ultimately lead me to forget that water is a thing. But the main example I have of, you know, basic needs not being met was at my first job, weirdly enough. The night before the last day of training, because we had like a 2-week training period, basically I did not sleep. And when I went into work the next day, it just affected me quite badly. You know, I wasn't able to concentrate on what I was doing, but also the reason why I wasn't able to sleep very well was because I was anxious about the next day and what we had to do for that day. And that for me was the test phone calls or the practice phone calls. So because I didn't get enough sleep, because of the apprehension of the following day, that just affected things from the get-go. That led me to basically crumbling down on my desk, people asking me if I was okay, while I was like, I'm okay. Literally, I could not do anything. It was embarrassing for me, it was really humiliating, but for me, that was a meltdown. That was me trying to like control all of the feelings. It was still a meltdown in my eyes. So ultimately though, water, food and sleep are 3 of the most important things in life, and if those needs for me aren't met, it is more likely that I'll have a meltdown because of it. Now, the second autism meltdown trigger for me is situations and environments that are new. Now, if I'm going to a new place or I'm entering a new situation, whatever the case may be, I have to prep myself thoroughly. So if I'm going to a new city or something, you know, I plan out where I'm going, where I need to be, the most efficient route to get from A to B. You know, I plan it all out. I look on Google Maps for ages. You know, I look on the street view to find where I need to go. When I get there, I'm kind of familiar with the surroundings and things, you know, because it is a stressful thing for me. You know, I typically don't go to new places unless I am with other people. And the same goes for new situations that occur. When I was a kid, where I did have a meltdown, and it was in school. It was a school disco. Basically, I went to the school disco, but it was in the dark. It was like a dark disco, you know, where they turn the lights off, where they have all these colourful flashing LEDs like in a nightclub or something like that. It was too much to process. Because, you know, I thought, you know, schools were meant to be bright and open, but this was really dark. You can't see anything in the dark. And also, as a kid, I was scared of the dark. And all of these culminating factors in the fact that it was so different to what I was used to, you know, even though I'd been going to the school for years, it led me to having a meltdown, and I didn't get to show off my dance moves at the disco. But even though I'm 28 and I don't have as many meltdowns as I used to, it is something that is consciously on my mind, and it's something that is a trigger for me. But this process that I have in my mind of keeping things the same, doing the same sorts of things, and also buying the same sorts of things actually leads us quite nicely on to my third trigger, which is clothing. For the last few years, I have typically gone and bought similar sorts of clothes. So baggy hoodies, baggy tops, stretchy jeans with nice fluffy, well, not even fluffy, just softer materials, because clothing in general is a massive trigger for me. And the reason why clothing is a trigger is because of the sensory issues for me. Like, tough feeling clothing just scratches on my skin. It makes my skin itch and just burn, and because of that just irritability, it just makes me feel hot. And actually, when I'm trying on clothes, like I'll pick out clothes which I think fit, like I'll try a bit of clothing on and it doesn't fit. As soon as it's a little bit tight, it is just so aggravating to me. It just feels like I'm being choked, and quite literally, if I don't feel comfortable with what I'm wearing, it leads to a meltdown. Now my fourth trigger: loud noises and loud environments. Now this is probably something that, you know, if you know anything about autism, it's one of those traits that comes up time after time after time. Obviously it's triggering for autistic people because it's, you know, another sensory issue, you know, to do with like how loud things are and also how complicated sounds can be. I find it really, really difficult, you know, concentrating on like people talking or trying to talk to someone if there's like a load of background noise, because quite honestly, you talking is at the same level as everything else behind me, maybe louder. So for me, I'm trying really hard to concentrate, but it's really hard to concentrate. It's not because I don't want to listen to the person, it's more because I'm hearing everything else behind me, like Joe Bloggs saying, "Oh my god, Karen came over and said my dress was horrible. Like, what a horrible person." Literally everything is amplified, and this overwhelms me very, very quickly. Like quite often, if I'm out with people, I'm in and out constantly, because for me, it's a way of regulating and, you know, chilling out. And then I can go back into the situation, just reset, and I'm ready to go. But the thing is, I am in a band, and with being in a band comes, you know, going to gigs and playing gigs and stuff. For me, it's like a creative thing, but the loudness of gigs and the loudness that people play and stuff, it is draining on me, and, you know, is more likely to cause a meltdown for me because it's just all loud all of the time. So quite honestly, I take breaks just like I would in any other situation. I'm constantly in and out. I tend to wear earplugs and things when I'm at gigs, and, you know, I'm typically at the corner of the room, you know, the corner, you know, which is furthest away from all of the loudness and all of the drama, really. And even though I love doing music and I love playing and stuff, you know, it's something that is a trigger for me, and I have to be careful when I'm, you know, doing all of these things. But now we're on to my fifth trigger, which is my main trigger, and it's all down to communication. Now, communication issues have been just literally a constant for me throughout the course of my life, and you might be surprised by that, you know, I do struggle with communication, but, you know, these YouTube videos, you know, I do put my best foot forward with them, and, you know, I do try to present myself in the best way, and that is how I want to be with everyone that I meet. And when I'm meeting people for the first time, I try to create a good impression, but honestly, I find it so difficult sometimes, you know. Obviously the interaction side of it I find hard because, you know, if it's a new person, you know, you don't know what to say, what to not say, what they like, what they dislike. I always am fearful about the way that I communicate because I am constantly thinking, what if the person I'm talking to doesn't understand me? You know, I'm constantly thinking, you know, what I'm actually trying to say makes sense in my head, but it comes out like garbage on the other end. But the reason why this is a meltdown trigger for me is if I can't understand the person, or if I'm communicating and they don't understand me, it just makes me more frustrated. I'm not frustrated at the person, I'm more frustrated at myself for, you know, not communicating in a way that they can understand, or vice versa. It kind of just makes me think, you know, what am I doing wrong? And I just get annoyed at myself. Raises that anxiety, raises that stress, because I want to be able to communicate with people, but it is just difficult sometimes. But what's more impactful on me personally when it comes to communication is when multiple people are coming at me with questions or just saying something. Like, I just can't process multiple people coming at me, even if it's two people. Like, I don't know how to juggle it. Literally I have to go one at a time, answer that person, then answer that person. It's a lot to process. And when people are kind of expecting an answer, I get all tongue-tied and just go, So yeah, when it comes to communication, you know, it's something that I find difficult, and if I'm not having the best of days, it can lead me into a meltdown. But what are some of the things that can lead you into a meltdown? Like, what are some of the things that trigger you? You know, let us know down below. And if anyone can help the people down below, I would highly appreciate it. I'll try and help as much as I can do. But if you did enjoy this video though, make sure you leave a big thumbs up for me down below. Stay you, stay indie, and I'll see you next time.